America and democracy. There is no America. There is no democracy. We no longer live in a world of nations and ideologies. The world is a college of corporations, inexorably determined by the immutable bylaws of business. The world is a business. And I have chosen you to preach this evangel.
For all my free market healthcare robbing, stock stealing, retirement fund fucking with niggas. Fuck you little credit card scamming, jewelry stealing, crack selling, liquor store robbing motherfuckers. Shout to the homies, Carnegie, OG, Willie Randolph Hearst, Baruch, Rockefeller, the real Rockefeller, my main bitch Leona, pour out a little Louis XIII, Scott Rothstein, Jack Abramoff, hold your head, my Rothschild niggas, let's get this money. I spend my day peppering America overseas, pension for the workers, nigga please, embezzlement, etiquette, private settlement, I'm better with Confederate rhetoric from my mansion in Connecticut, foreclosure Vic homes out the tenement, I twist words like a speech impediment, I hope you got good credit bitch, if not better get a new job with benefits, while I play golf with niggas and get cheddar with, new money buys brand new carrots, my old money bunch of great grandparents, you got grills in your mouth, I ain't mad at ya, I own every gold mine in South Africa. Thanks, baby, you made me $1 billion. Plus, I own a building for each one of my children's children.
Thanks for tuning in to Voice of Bellin Radio. This is your host, Chris J. Michael here co-hosting tonight's show. Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas Eve to all of y'all listening from wherever you're listening to. We have a good one as always when I have Michael here in the studio with me. I'm just going to be talking about really just multiple different topics. I guess the first thing that comes to mind is that it looks like the alt-right's guy, the guy that was supposed to be, I don't know, these people that still have faith in Trump that he's going to change anything after he fucking he's going to move the embassy to Jerusalem in Israel, and they're still saying how he's, secretly fighting the war, secretly fighting the good fight or something like that. And I'm like, he must be playing some really four-dimensional chess or something like that. Nothing has indicated to me.
He's playing 6 million dimensional chess, Chris.
Yeah, 6 million dimensional chess. Michael's right. He's on a whole different, he's in a whole different galaxy than us right now. With he's really playing the game. He's eventually going to. Trump has been so disappointed. Every step he's like, it seems like he's going to go, against maybe the mainstream media. He's going against what the mainstream wants. And the mainstream media still seems to be the only thing that gives, I think, people hope is that the mainstream media continues to wage a war against them, it seems. But I think it's a psyop, just to make it seem like there's
it's absolutely a psyop, man. Look, every time they say Trump and whatever Trump did, Trump kicked the Mexican baby in the head. Trump disparaged a gay transsexual military member. Trump said something bad about some black congressman. Trump did whatever. All it is ratings. Everybody tunes in. What did Trump do this time? Because you know what? We know who he is. I mean, he wrote a book about it. He was in public view for years. It's no surprise. He's going to do something. He's going to... I don't know. But, like, this whole thing about him recently, like, saying, like, all Haitians have AIDS...
Yeah, I saw that.
I don't see him saying that, but I mean, it does bring to mind a joke from when I was younger. Like I come from a different time than you, so like AIDS is like, I don't want to say it's old hat, but it's not this horrible thing anymore. I mean, I don't want to have it or anything like that, but I mean, it's there's ways to handle it. But I mean, an old joke for it was. What's the worst part about having AIDS? Having to tell your parents that you're Haitian, and because back then AIDS was a gay thing. Now AIDS is everybody. But I don't see Trump making that kind of a gaffe in front of people who will like yap. I don't see him. I can see him doing other things, but nothing lame like that.
Yeah, that might have been between him and like his best buddy or something like that. I don't know who, maybe him and Billy Bush behind the scenes, but I don't see him in a room of like important people. Like I said, it was at some kind of like private meeting or something, where Trump would make such a big gaffe like that. It just seems ridiculous. Every week it's a new thing, you know, and they don't focus. They're plotting his most dangerous stuff, which is like the, you know, they had Trump made just, you know, put Jerusalem as the embassy, and
Goyim, he's just fulfilling the prophecies as foretold in the scrolls. Goyim, you must rejoice. He's making America great again, and the first step in making America great is making Israel the capital of the universe.
This is what I don't get is the people. I mean, it's like really puzzling to me, the people that are still, you know, trying to say that there's like Trump is secretly, you know, he's working against the powers that be, when every indication, I mean, has pretty much shown that. And
who is his daughter married to? Who is his daughter married to? His daughter is married to like probably the top Mossad agent in the United States.
Jared Kushner, yeah, he's one of the most powerful. I mean, when people talk about, that's what I don't get about this whole Russia stuff. But the really should be called Israel Gate. I mean, you have now the son-in-law of the president is definitely, I guess you could say it's pretty much an operative for the Israeli lobby, working very close to the president. It became like the senior advisor. I mean, I think that in a way, I was by no stretch of the imagination a fan of Mr. Bannon, but I think that was a symbolic move when Bannon was when he threw Bannon to the curb and pretty much put Kushner in Bannon's place. That was like just pretty much saying, hey, look, I'm just like the other ones. I'm a globalist president. I work for the New World Order, just like every other person. I mean, Bannon kind of represented, I guess you could say, kind of the opposition element of the Trump presidency. Yeah, but even Bannon had major flaws, and one of the funniest things about Bannon is that he was like he hated. Well, I don't know if you could say hate, but he definitely he didn't really take kindly to most minorities, but it came to like Jewish, mostly Israel, as Israel as a whole. He didn't even like Jewish people, but he liked Israel. It's like, if you've ever seen what Bannon said, and it's kind of weird also, he's almost a publicity whore if you look into his past. He used to be a Hollywood guy. He knows how to become, when he lost his fame as a producer, I think he was a producer at one point, like a low-level producer in Hollywood, like a C-list producer in Hollywood. When he lost his fame, he was like, okay, you know, I'll become more like Infamous now. I'm going to be like the villain. And he knew that, you know, he knows the simplest rule of Hollywood is that negative publicity is better than no publicity. So Bannon took that route, you know, but he was actually kind of like you know, he was definitely not by any means a right-winger guy back in the 90s. I saw clips of him. He was almost like an environmentalist type guy. I'm like, that's the same guy. And also, that looked like before he hit the liquor too hard for about 10 years solid. Like Bannon, like, I don't know what happened between then and now. He like hit the fucking wall like 20 times over at 100 miles per hour. It looks like,
yeah, he's not a prime physical specimen by any means. But I mean, look, you just have to look back at, seriously, what's the greatest threat to the entire humanity? I mean, the entire planet, all of humanity. It is and has been communism and Bolshevism in particular for the last, 100 years?
Well, we just had the 100th anniversary of the Bolshevik Revolution.
Right, so there we are. So for the last 100 years, that's been the greatest threat to humanity. And with the results to show, I mean, it's over 100 million killed. You know, it's just I mean, countless rapes, you know, blah, 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 whatever you want to talk about after, you know, in post-World War II Europe. But that's the problem right there. And once again, it's here. I think you see it. I mean, you're fairly aware of what's going on. And I mean, you live in a different area than I do, but I mean, you see the obvious push for it.
I don't know about communism necessarily, like the
Bolshevism, dude.
Yeah, Bolshevikism specifically would be maybe a closer representation, which I will say, and I will not mince the words, is that I would say Bolshevikism is a cancerous ideology that rots at the cultural fabrics of whatever society that it manifests in. It tears apart the country piece by piece, destroys the religion.
That's the only way it can't survive is to subvert the strong people. And I'm not making any kind of like racial claim on this. What I'm saying is like the people of like strong moral character who do what is right That's the only way to destroy that is to subvert those people, to make their offspring, quite frankly, degenerate.
Well, you see, as a couple of things that needed for Bolshevikism to thrive, and the thing is that in Russia, what they did is that they pretty much took advantage of that they already had been they're waging economic warfare, most likely probably against the Russian government for maybe decades prior to the revolution. They did different things. They had a lot of European countries attacked Russia over the last couple hundred years, and Japan included. So it made a very, very poor and kind of desperate environment where people were willing to, they said, okay, we need a change. But the thing was that the change, or the problems were being caused from the outside, and the solution was also being provided from outside of Russia. It was not coming from the Tsar and the Bolshevik Revolution, even though that people believed it to be from coming inside of Russia. Grassroots revolution was being financed by people far away across the Atlantic Ocean in New York. And ultimately,
New York, it was New York, London, Paris. I mean, where did the quote unquote Rothschilds have offices at?
Well, any of those, and even you could probably say, potentially even I think they had offices in maybe even Germany. I know they had they were operatives there. In Germany, they had their own problem with Bolshevikism in 1920, around 1920, 1919. They had Luxembourg and that whole failed revolution that happened there. But, Germans were a little bit more keen to what was going on. I would say that they were keen to what was going on for a while, but I felt like they eventually got subverted in the end from a different kind of plot. But, the original plot, which was really, if you look at the fall of a lot of the European monarchies, mainly Germany and Russia, coming in particular to mind, is that those two were caused pretty much by Bolsheviks, caused the removal of the monarchy. And what succeeded afterwards is much worse time for most of those countries. I mean, Russia in the 1920s, the Bolsheviks happened, Stalin happened, millions of people died.
Well, if you look at German history, from that time, from the Spartacist revolution or the Spartacist rebellion, it wasn't really a revolution because in the end it was only about. I think the official number is 1,700 well-armed, and what they considered well-armed at that time is not congruent with what is well-armed now.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah, but it was about 1,700, quote unquote Bolsheviks that came in, Spartacists, whatever you want to call them. But it was Rosa Luxemburg and Karl Liebknecht, common denominators once again. That basically wanted to bring, all I want for Christmas is full communism now.
Yeah, well, guess what?
Guess what? The Hanukkah lamp is burned out.
Well, they got stopped by they got stopped by a lot of volunteer militias.
The
Freikorps.
By regular folk, dude. But by guys who...
Not even really the Freikorps, by regular folks. They're really just volunteers. It wasn't really an organization. They're really just by a lot of, normal people. They saw what happened in Russia. Immediately, it wasn't it took years for people to realize what happened in Russia was bad. It was immediate. I'm sure there was a lot of people that fought in the Bolshevik Revolution that were probably immediately regretted it, within a year or two. I mean, I know even the Kaiser, who didn't even really actually help the Bolsheviks, and the only way that he did was he sent Lenin back to Russia, said, I think 4 years later, how much he regretted funding the Bolshevik Revolution. I guess because he did that to help Germany win the war against Russia during World War I. But ultimately, it came back to bite him in the ass because the same kind of scourge. I mean, even though you say that it was the Spartacist rebellion was totally foiled, they still were able to remove the Kaiser from power, which would set up the Weimar Republic.
But the Spartacists did not remove the Kaiser. I mean, because after the Spartacists was the Cat Push, which was, what was that? That was 1923, 1921, something like that. And that was almost, the Cap faction that came in was far more right-wing than any sort of, Spartacist Rosa Liebknecht stuff. And the German people actually kind of rebelled against the ultra right wing that the Cap Push sort of represented. And at the same time as they pushed against that, I mean, they still were in the throes of the Weimar collapse, and I mean, it was really starting to build at that point and become like a boiling point. And well, I mean, it wasn't long after the Cap push that you have the rise of I don't know how many hundred political parties were there in Germany after the Cap push. I mean, it was
well, Weimar Republic. That was like the Wild West. I mean, that's why really in the end there was no order, and somebody had to take order, and that's kind of what set the stage. I mean, that's what the set the stage for the National Socialist Party, aka the Nazis, to take power in the early 1930s. Is just that people were tired of the disorder of the Weimar Republic. The fact was that their country had been totally subverted into being full degeneracy, and not by trying to excuse what happened after once the Nazis took over, but the National Socialists took over. But definitely the stage was set for them to take over by the Weimar Republic, and the amount of degeneracy pushed on their population. This is like almost this is forbidden to discuss that like the positive aspects of this. I mean, it's only purely history. And, I mean, there's actual numbers to back it and actual quality of life figures to back it. But you realize what we're talking about is, like, on the wrong side of the fence in, the grand scheme of things, right? Where you talk about what the mainstream thinks of. Yeah, this is we went. I mean, if normal people, I guess you could say, almost that your normies were to hear of what we're talking about, we would we'd be in trouble.
We'd be fired.
Yeah, the norm. I don't know why. I think I've just been spending too much time on the internet. I'm like using. I find that term funny because normies kind of like it kind of describes what I see a lot of the people that are really just obsessed with, like, I don't know. You know who I'm talking about by the normies.
Absolutely. Did you watch any football today?
No, I mean, I didn't even watch any games. I mean, I cut up some highlights and stuff. I mean, because for a lack of better stuff to do at work, really, I was watching. I saw some scores and saw I laughed that the Browns still haven't won a single game all year.
Are the Browns totally defeated all year?
They're 0-15. Yeah, if they lose one more game,
the
entire year not winning.
I'm not necessarily a football fan, but I was when I was a Ute. And that's actually kind of funny because the Browns are one of those teams I just don't like.
They just are they're so bad this year, and last year they were. I laugh because this is a true statistic. The last 31 games they've won one game out of 31.
So like, you know far more about football than I do. I just kind of find it funny because when I was a kid and I enjoyed it, it was. I really didn't like them. I was a Denver Bronco fan, and I didn't. I did not enjoy the Browns nor the Raiders.
Yeah, and the Raiders. The Raiders suck this year too. So you could be, I guess, glad about that.
Just in general principle, because it like the bumper sticker is prevalent on cars of people. The Raiders suck. Just in general.
Well, they haven't been any good for 15 years. I mean, that was the last time they even went to the Super Bowl. That was the only time that our team here, the Bucks, we played them when we had like a 300-pound refrigerator named Warren Sapp as one of our linemen. That team just like destroyed them 48-21. That was, of course, living in Tampa Bay, you at least know about that one Super Bowl.
You have to know about like the local team Super Bowl win.
That was our only Super Bowl win too. I mean, because the Bucks, the Bucks, I'll admit it, is that I'm from Tampa Bay, but I'll admit they just flat out suck their history. They lose. They're good for like 2 years and then they'll lose 15 years in a row. 10 games a year for 15 years. And
but if you buy those season tickets now and actually like go ahead and I guess just invest in the new stadium. Those glory days will return.
Well, I don't know. The Bucks. That's the thing. The Bucks' glory days are few and far between. We have
invest a couple of shekels, and you can do it. You can help. You can help bring glory back to the Bay.
Yeah, that probably. I mean, we just have this year. I didn't even watch too much of the games. I mean, like I haven't had since October. I haven't had any time really to watch the game because it's like I go to work.
Real life gets in the way.
Yeah, it's like I go to work and then as soon as I go to work or I come home from work usually. This is actually one of the few days where I had time between work and like a radio show if I was going live, because usually I get off like 8 and I have to do a radio show at 9. Today I got off at 6. I needed that break too, because these fucking the Christmas, the commercialization at holiday, what it turns people into, is fucking nuts. I mean, people are.
Oh man, I will agree with you. I made a jaunt to the local Academy, which is a sporting goods retailer, which is across the street from the Walmart. And, that was almost like riding the gauntlet to get there. You know, I wished for a larger handgun in my possession at that time.
It's just that everybody, the lengths that some people go to just to get these, these items for their family, some gift. I mean, they'll be putting themselves in debt, just trying to get a gift for a family. That's not right. I thought the whole point of the holiday is that you're, hanging out with family and, your family accepting you, not because of what gifts you give them, but because you're their family.
You got a laptop, you got a way to look something up. Look up Stalin's view on how to destroy the United States.
I don't want to get off the Skype app because I feel like if I get off the Skype app, it's going to drop me off. So that's why.
I will totally agree with you. But he said, you subvert the patriotism, the morality, and the spirituality of the nation, and you can take it over without firing a shot.
I've heard that.
We'll be right back after this Bacardi Breezer commercial brought to you by Miley Cyrus.
The joke I was actually going to throw out there was I was going to say at the beginning of the show, it was going to be like, and this is a voice you've done on radio, produced by Harvey Weinstein. I keep seeing on TV, talk about Christmas and all that. Notice the movie I keep seeing, like this morning, I was eating breakfast, and then on TV, I was actually too lazy to actually go get up and change it. I saw it with Bad Santa was on, and I'm like, oh my god, why is this on again? I liked it as a kid, before, watching because I was like, oh, it's funny, it's adult humor. But as later when you realize it's a Harvey Weinstein movie, I'm just like, and then I realized kind of like the degeneracy that's pushing. I'm just like, I don't really like this movie anymore. That's the only movie I actually know that's made by Harvey Weinstein. Like, I can't name you another movie that's actually produced by him.
You could easily say that once the bell has been rung, it cannot be unrung.
Well, what are you talking about? You talk about all these.
Once you see the crap, it's difficult to unsee it.
Well, yeah. Weinstein. When you really start, when you put it together, you see this, the slob Weinstein that he made in the movie that he made was, it's pretty much just pushing. I mean, that's all. It's not just like, it's definitely, like you could say degeneracy. I guess you could say is pushing. I mean, it's pretty much that, like Bad Santa, that's like pushing his, like, he's like a criminal that he's pushing his ways kind of on that kid or whatever. Right, from what I remember the movie being something like that. I mean, like I said, I saw it was on, but I wasn't even paying attention this morning. Like, I was just like, I was just trying to eat breakfast and go to work, make it on time. She bullshit, by the way, is that sorry to bring unrelated thing, but is that the holidays, job I work at, I work at, I'm just going to leave it at a big retailer. And as in the big retailer, it's like I find out like last night, they're like, oh, yeah.
You have a blue vest.
No, I don't have a blue vest because I don't deal with the customers directly. I deal with them over a phone. So it's kind of like I get even more time on the phones now. Is that instead of just doing it while on the radio show, that's now my job, is to talk to people. So I feel like in a way how I could
Do you deal with people who owe the people who wear blue vests money?
Well, they owe our company money. Yes, correct. That would be correct.
Does your company people wear blue vests?
They don't wear blue vests.
All right. Then we're safe to mention the W word at some point.
Oh yeah, we could definitely mention Walmart. Yeah, fuck Walmart. Yeah, it's definitely not Walmart. This place has a few classes. I guess maybe it's about a notch more fancier than Walmart, or probably about 5 notches. Walmart's pretty. I went to Walmart. This is where I don't like the sound of classist or anything like that, because that's what makes it sound like when I talk about Walmart. But I don't go into Walmart for shit, because I've gone to Walmart. I feel icky. I feel gross, and it's not. It's
Walmart
really,
is the trough. Walmart is the trough from which all pigs on the farm feed from at some point.
It's yeah.
You gotta go there. You gotta go there.
They'll fight over on Black Friday for now 20% off already. The super low prices that they have there, but while you're doing that, you're supporting a family that has $300 billion, the Walton family. They're so cheap that they don't even pay their employees enough wage. We have to subsidize it as taxpayers we pay their employees food stamps because they pay a minimum wage. I just every time I go in there, it just kind of seems like a surreal. It's just kind of like I don't know. I feel like that's a kind of place where the vibes are bad and you don't want to go when you're doing acid. If I was ever to do acid, I would not walk on Walmart, because I feel like the bad vibes would just be overwhelming. Just like you would sense all the despair and desperation in the air.
Well, I'll tell you right now, the only thing I usually buy at Walmart is bullets, toilet paper, drinks, and maybe like chunky soup or something like that. I just don't. You know what? I will buy T-shirts and socks from them, but sometimes they're the only place around for 40 miles. And that happens to a lot of it's not. It doesn't happen necessarily in your area, but in a lot of the flyover country, that's the way it is. Well, do you want to drive 5 miles or do you want to drive 22 miles? You end up going to Walmart for everything, and then at some point you realize that every old fat guy's wearing the same Hawaiian shirt at one point.
And then there's places. Here I can't relate to that, because here it's literally 12 blocks to the next grocery store, 14 blocks to another one. Everything's so bunched up together. It's like the Floridian stereotype is that we ride we're driving our car with sand in it while it's 82 degrees on Christmas Day to Publix to go get a sub. While we're listening to we'll listen to Flo Rida, we're listening to the Florida Gators game on the radio. By the way, I hate the Gators, but that's how the stereotype goes. Here's just that where we have just so much shit. It's just too much shit.
All right. So actually, the stereotype is Florida man, and Florida man is defined by the news story that says a naked man while furiously masturbating and holding a stolen chihuahua kicks a cop and steals an ambulance and drives 12 blocks and then crashes into a school bus of kids. That's Florida right there. If I see that story, I'm like, fuck, that's got to be like Tampa or like Miami.
It's probably like Largo, Florida. It's it's probably right up the street from here. That's where I think a couple of the stories I've came from is we have this area that's between St. Pete and Tampa. It's kind of it's just kind of full of trailer parks, strip clubs, pawn shops. It's really a very interesting sight to drive through there. I work not too far from where some of those Florida man stories happen. And that's
awesome. That's like Lakewood, Florida. And what's the sheriff there? Sheriff Grady.
That's a county, Lakeland, Florida. Grady Judd. Yep, he's on TV.
Yeah, he's a crazy guy.
Oh yeah, I think he thinks he's he thinks he's something out what he thinks he's like some sheriff from some Western movie or something like that, but in reality
he thinks he's Judge Roy Bean and Chuck Norris combined in a CRISPR-Cas9.
Yeah, he's an interesting character. Meanwhile, Polk County has probably he talks about it like Shunny's got to stop drug dealers and stuff like that. Well, they have all kinds of drugs come out of Polk County mess and shit. I mean, that's like you know what? Polk County, a good way to describe what Polk County is to the Tampa Bay area. Like, Polk County is kind of like where the people that don't want to see minorities and stuff like that, they kind of move out to Polk County. If you don't want to see like Puerto Ricans and stuff and minorities, gay people, it's like we have a joke. It's like, oh, if you don't like all the stuff in downtown St. Pete because there's too many gays, well, go move to Polk County.
Well, yeah, but I mean that happens in every state. I mean that's not just necessarily a Florida thing. That happens in every state with a coast or a university. And a university, I mean a good thriving university, but even the small universities, that's like that in every town. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, I mean we see that divide more than ever, really. I guess you could say in some ways,
and then you can see that in the construction that happens, because then you start seeing like the so-called urban sprawl that moves out, and the lower quality houses that keep on coming in, and you can get into a master plan community from the low 229s, here at Rancho Cinco Vista, or whatever the fuck they call it, I mean, so some bullshit made up name, and you're sitting on a house that's on it's a 4,000 square foot house and blah blah blah. It's got 3 goddamn air conditioners and whatever. But you're sitting on a 7,000 square foot lot. What are you gonna do? Like swing your cat in the backyard and like knock over like 2 walls? I mean, that's the way it is, and you have attained the American dream.
Well, the American dream what usually happens is more like debt for the average person. I mean. Think about. I wanted to mention at some point. I was telling you about that whole. I got called. I got in a debate online for the first time in a long time. It's kind of weird how the internet landscape has changed. Where now you have, back like 4 years ago, most of the time, like I don't know, it'd be. Back then, I would be. There would be a whole different adjectives are thrown at me. Now, the thing that keeps getting thrown at me, and it's been more and more I've realized, is that people are starting to say, that more and more the thing that people throw at me is like, oh, well, you're probably some kind of like alt-right guy or Nazi or something like that. I'm like, no, I'm not, but, I kind of wanted to roll with it and just, really just piss them off, some of these people that, the people that, usually it's like a debate about like Russia meddling election. I mean, it went from me, I just said how that is bullshit, pretty much, to eventually the point where they're calling me like, all right, because let's talk about the Rothschilds. If you even mention the Rothschilds, this is what really pisses me off, is that you have people that, really contradictions, is that, we talk about the Bolsheviks, and I see the Bolsheviks in the internet, which they are saying stuff like, they say, well, the bourgeoisie is bad, but if you say Rothschild, in any of your arguments, then you're, anti-Semite. I used to know some communists that actually they realized, well, yeah, they're the ultimate bourgeoisie. They make most of the bourgeoisie look like the extra proletariat. But now it's like, oh, bourgeoisie is bad, but if you mention Rothschild, then you're bad. You're like, you're a Nazi, and you're like worse than the capitalist.
And absolutely, Nazi's the absolute worst thing. The next thing is child molester. And I believe during this last little Alabama election thing for whatever it was, senator, I believe they called him a Nazi child molester, the guy who lost.
Roy Moore, yeah.
You call him a Nazi child molester on CNN and repeat that like 50 times, fuck yeah, you're going to lose.
Well, yeah, I mean, the guy had, well, the thing about Roy Moore, though, is that that was a major psyop, and I think that was just to see what people.
Oh yeah, it was a game. Yeah, it was a game. Roy Moore it was a gigantic thermometer. We had to take the. It was true that
Roy Moore seemed like they put this kind of pretty creepy But I guess you could say austere conservative guy, but pretty creepy. I mean, to say the least. I mean, apparently he got banned out of malls and stuff like that. I think these accusations are legit.
You're going to get in the American political scene as it is now. He was I shouldn't say as far right. He was as far to the old to the lame appeal to the old memory as he got. I like Jesus H. Christ. I like hot dogs, baseball, and Chevy trucks, and that's the way it is. And goddamn communists are going to pay. And I mean, it was just almost a hackneyed throwback. And I mean, I'm sure there's people in like rural parts of Alabama that are like that. I mean, for fuck's sake, I live in Texas, you live in Florida. There's all kinds of rednecks in that county that's got 28,000 people or something in it. That would, well, I swear to God that Roy Moore, he's a good dude. Dude's probably a pervert. They're all fucking perverts. Every fucking one of them. Look at fucking Chuck Schumer, for Christ's sake, and tell me that dude does not touch little boys. I mean, Lindsey Graham.
Man, Lindsey Graham creeps everybody out. Like, I don't even know how that guy got elected, to be honest. I mean, he has no appealing charisma whatsoever.
You have a videotape of you and a troop of naked 11-year-old Boy Scouts, and you will do exactly what we say. And yes, please do not release the tape. It would hurt my mama's feelings.
Lindsey Graham's he's a hack. I mean, he just honestly, that was what I feel this election had been a big psyop, and what it saw was if the people that are Republicans are they gonna?
But I mean, it's all a psyop. It's all a psyop. Because in the end, Jared Kushner is the one making the play. And I mean, he's not the first. I mean, who was Obama's chief of staff in his most pivotal first 2 years? I mean, who was the man who backed his play? It was Rahm Emanuel, the ballerina.
Yeah, really guy, yeah.
He's the mayor of Chicago. That's what is that? That's FEMA district. What is that? FEMA District 7, I think. I mean,
that was one of that was the guy that looked like. I mean, it looked like at one point, that he was be probably somebody pretty big in the next.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you what, this country's gonna turn to shit when they get either a neo-Nazi or a Palestinian chief of staff, and oh Jesus, it's all gonna fall apart at that point.
That'd be an interesting scene. A Palestinian, the closest thing we have to Palestinian government would be Justin Amash, but he's like a low-level representative that has no any leanings to ever join it. I don't think anybody would ever pick him just because of who he is. He's too Palestinian. He's a half Palestinian. That's too much. And anyway,
that's too much. We need to stone him.
That's what I'm saying. The people, I think that if he ever was picked, Israel would be having a major fit about it. They'd be like, "See, they picked a Palestinian. There was a Jewish candidate that was more than capable enough, but they picked." I blame
Trump. I blame Trump and his racist policies.
Yeah, they're gonna say it was Trump. He did it. He set the stage for America to go into a neo-Nazi wasteland. Yeah, well, I saw a big story that talk about Germans and stuff like that. I saw the big story that apparently
you find it hilarious that is the the ultimate boogeyman. It's almost like calling out safe in freeze tag. You're the biggest pussy if you don't do that. I mean if you call out you're a Nazi, safe, you can't tag me. What kind of pussy game is that? I mean at least have the balls to use the big boy words. Nazi's a turn off the conversation thing right there. It's this magic word. Whatever. If they call you a Nazi, I think you won.
Well, I got called Nazi about 3 comments into that argument the other day.
Well, absolutely. On the internet, yeah, dude. I think I believe that's called Poe's Law, and there's some sort of numerical equation that says from how many comments to where you're called a Nazi, you know, is your score in winning. So yeah, whatever. Fuck it, let them call you a Nazi. Whatever. They just let you know who their biggest boogeyman is. And what's the number one rule? Hide your smiles and hide your cries. You know, I mean, shit. Yeah, okay, whatever. I'm the boogeyman.
Yeah, all because I mentioned the word Rothschild too. It's like apparently the Rothschild is like propaganda. All because I mentioned the word Rothschild. That really shows, and like I said, it's really turned a corner where even, you know, like I see that like it's like a turn. I see like there's people that left the community that have been brainwashed by this type of bullshit. You know, and they're saying that Rothschild's automatically like Nazi propaganda, and there's other people that actually stayed are like, wait a minute, that's bullshit. You know, Rothschild are, you know, the most powerful banking family on the planet. Now, you know, I know they try to say in the mainstream media and stuff that the Rothschilds have lost, you know, a lot of their wealth, and they say, well, they're not really that rich anymore, you know, and stuff like that. Meanwhile, I mean, you see the Rothschilds' connections to all these top politicians. Hillary Clinton was like best friends with the Rothschild, and Lynn Forster, the Rothschild.
Yeah, but go ahead and throw up like the air quotes around best friends because they're lesbian lovers. That's all there is to it.
That's just gross. Honestly,
that's not gross. That's big business, son.
That's just
that is how it's done.
Probably cobwebs and dumb shit down there. You know, it probably looks like it probably looks like
missing Haitian children.
Oh yeah, about that. Yeah, with the Clinton Foundation. What was it like? Something like all those children. What they took them after the earthquake or something like that. After that
earthquake, a whole bunch of them, like almost 900 of them or something like that, just straight up disappeared. Oh, we don't know where your little Jamal went. Sorry, he's gone.
Yeah,
he's being served in Arkansas, you know, with some horseradish. You know, I mean, they probably ate them kids. I don't put it past them, man. I think the Clintons are probably cannibals. I mean, I know for a fact they ain't human.
Well, I mean, where are you going to say? Now that goes to a different topic. Is that are you going to say that they're like what, reptilians, like David Icke? You know, that they're lizard people, or
when Icke says reptilian, I hear the echoes. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. I've heard people say that before, but I'm saying, do you actually believe Icke on the lizard or reptilian stuff?
Reptilians, and I visualize it in my mind. It's got a set of 3 brackets on either side of it. All right, so the reptilians, the Rothschilds, the globalists. You know, I mean, like, let's like, you know, turn up the heat on this and distill it a little bit because okay, yeah, all right, we'll filter out these right here, but like the mass quantity at the bottom of the jug is, well, the ones who don't want water turned into wine. Because that fucks with the wine tax and all that. The wine industry.
Well, you know, here's the thing though about that is that, and here's where the debate gets a little bit interesting. Is then, what do you think about what do you think about people like Norman Finkelstein and stuff that have been big supporters of Palestine and have been protesting Israel?
Finkelstein is a very honest man. I think he's got balls for standing up and saying what he does say. One of the best videos I've seen with Finkelstein is when he, oh God, I don't remember what university it was at. It had to be in California or Florida. But there was a, Finkelstein, you said something bad about the Holocaust, and my grandfather died 6 times in the Holocaust, and blah, blah, blah. And he just destroyed everything. He called it crocodile tears. He called it a guilt trip industry. I mean, he let it all, and the girl left in tears, like somebody had just like pulled the rug out from her like gigantic Jenga city. You know, I mean, like blocks went tumbling everywhere, and I think the name of the video is like, if you just put in Norman Finkelstein destroys in YouTube, the video comes up, and it's brutally honest, and he's absolutely correct. Yeah, I don't think he's a bad guy. I mean, he recognizes what the lie is. He refuses to participate in the lie. I can't say that, like, I hold somebody who, let's say, practices a particular faith or believes in a different way than I do, at any kind of fault. But when your life and your activities, like, really put the screw to somebody else, either by plan or by design, or this is what you were taught, yeah, then I've got a problem with that. But I mean, that's, I guess, like a difference of belief versus action. And unfortunately, like, in this common denominator that cannot be mentioned and blah 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 or whatever, you'll lose your APAC, A rating.
It's gonna be an APAC score, not like your FICO score, but it's gonna be like for how
yeah.
well. No, it's like,
what is your CEMET credit right now? Oh, I'm sorry, he's got an anti-score. Hey, there's no Dodge in your future, son.
yeah, just like up. It sees here that you have a. It's like it looks at the score. It's like what code do we have here? 420 1889. It's like, what does that mean? That's Hitler's birthday. You ain't getting shit. You're out of here. You're kicked out of the Dodge dealership.
You will walk home. You have to go to you have to go buy a car where the Mexicans go now.
You have to go to the one that has like a shady commercial on the rap station at 8 in the morning or something. Yeah, like, there's the guy that's promising no matter your credit. We got that guy here in Florida, but he doesn't own all the rock stations. I don't know if he's he's like the guy that, is like, no matter your credit score, we'll finance you, Mr. Fochillo. I'm just like, I would love to see his financing plans. He's always on the radio here. It's like, yeah, it's but that's not quite as low as what you're talking about. You're talking about like the really shady used car dealership at the edge of town, and that's what you're probably talking about, right?
I'm calling that anybody who has let's say any flood damaged hurricane vehicles from either of our recent hurricanes, for cars that are, let's say it's a 2010 or a 2011 whatever small Japanese SUV or small Japanese car, and it's like $4,000 under the line. No Carfax available.
Yeah, and it's well, now there's got to be. I mean, now there's going to be an even bigger amount of them. I mean, now we had 2 this year. We had 1 last year. They hit Matthew at the Carolinas. So just like now there's just got to be so much more flood cars, especially fucking Harvey, because that place, like, you're saying that still people are like tearing.
You dropped off, dude. You there? Chris, you there? Hey.
Paul, Michael, can you hear me now?
Hear you now.
Okay. I don't know what that was about. Yeah.
I have a really decent idea what that was about. We touched on sensitive topics, man, without like saying the word.
You know, that was weird because like I had nothing open this time. There was like everything was indicating that my Wi-Fi is actually pretty strong. So yeah, that's what makes me think that maybe there was some remote interference on that. Well, we were talking about Finkelstein, yeah, and then we were talking about something else about I think we were just getting into you said about the Finkelstein's calling in the guilt trip industry. I think that may have been the key word there. Which I'm not a person that really delves into that topic too much. But when it comes to that the Holocaust itself, it's weird how 70 years they politicized the Holocaust. But Stalin's genocide.
All right. So here's my big issue with this. All right. So right now, everything the Russians say is completely illegitimate. It's all lies. It's absolute falsehoods and half truths and whatnot. But we accept everything that the Russians said about the quote unquote Holocaust as gospel. Because honestly, like 90% of the claims of the Holocaust come from Russian claims, Soviet claims.
Yeah, well, I know what you're saying.
Americans, British and French troops found no Holocaust camps. They found work camps. Only the Soviets found Holocaust camps. And here's like the kicker, which, shit. Prepare for the end of your career, young man. But the chimney at Auschwitz was built in 1946. The war ended in June of 45, right?
Okay, here's what I have to go into, though. Now I'm going to go a little bit tough towards you. Is that what proof do you have exactly that the chimney was built in 1946? What proof do you have that when it comes to, that all these people that survived it, that they're all lying.
It was real in my mind. It was real in my mind. Herman Rosenblatt gave like a wonderful video testimony about how it was horrible, and they put him in the tickle machine, and he had to hide inside a toilet, and blah blah blah. He went on about that, and when it was discovered, he said, well, it was real in my mind. I had to keep telling the story so people wouldn't forget how horrible it was. Well, if it was so fucking horrible, why do you got to make up lies about it? Tell the goddamn truth. If you were put in the tickle machine and you had to hide in toilets, tell the truth. But yeah, shit. Edith Zisblatt. All right, that's the woman who said that. She survived 6 different camps, and Dr. Mengele tortured her and all that. And then on top of that, she had diamonds that her mother threw to her as she was being hauled off by the SS or whatever. And she ate those diamonds and then shit them out, and then seriously washed them and then ate them every day for however many the 27 years she was in the Holocaust camp. Whatever. Well, yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't believe that for a fucking second. I'm sorry. I think that's bullshit. And that's what they make the movies out of. Fucking Saving Private Ryan, come on now.
Wouldn't that be kind of rough on your intestines and shit? That's my question.
I would think so. It would either be rough on your intestines, or if you had if you were a tough guy, you'd polish them down. Probably. Shit, a poop diamond. How much would you pay for a poop diamond on your ring? It usually costs a man 8 months' salary to give his wife a poop diamond.
It's 8 months' salary, or in other terms, about 200 successful bowel movements.
Yeah, we gotta find a pressure cooker in. We said pressure cooker. Now it's all over.
Oh yeah, shit! Oh shit, man! We're gonna have the FBI raiding our houses tonight. You said pressure cooker. Better not say bag of fertilizer next.
I did not say ammonium nitrate. Which, by the way, you can't buy anymore. That shit's gone. You have to buy it in 500-pound quantities. And what the hell are you going to do with 500 pounds of goddamn fertilizer?
Yeah, there's not too many good things you're going to be doing with that much ammonium nitrate. But okay, so going back to our original topic though, about what we're saying about about the Holocaust, though, is that okay? So there was a couple people's testimonies that were lies or exaggerated. But what about like everybody else's testimonies? That
like what, like the lampshades, like lampshades made out of human skin, like what, like they stuffed Volkswagen seats with human hair, or they like melted them down and turned them into soap. Yeah, well, that was all bullshit, wasn't it?
Well, was that proven to be bullshit, or you just say that's bullshit?
Well, absolutely, it was proven to be bullshit.
How was it proven?
Because the United States documents saying that we had a filmmaker that went in and basically made this shit up. Yeah. The Nazis didn't make like seriously, like look at yourself. Now you've got an entire. This is a world war, right? And you've got a country that is like under severe rationing and restrictions. Where the fuck do you find like the market for lampshades at that time? Has your house been bombed and destroyed in an Allied attack? Replace your windows with Jew skin, guaranteed to stop no bullets. You know what? No, they didn't make windows. They didn't make lampshades out of Jew skin. That's a bunch of bullshit.
So you said there was United States documents that actually proved that was all bullshit about that. I mean, there was some pretty creepy fucks though in the SS. I mean, you're gonna tell me that there was not some creepy shit like that going on at the very minimum?
There's creepy fucks in the leadership of everything, but you have to like look at this like on a grand scale. How do you turn like a state industry into like making human soap? And number one, why you make soap out of your fucking enemy? Do you want to? All right, so let's say, let's just change that one, the soap. All right, so now you've got this horrible Jew soap. All right, now let's become Americans. Do you want to you're not fully clean until you Jap soap yourself clean. I mean, no. I mean, how many
I don't think that.
Are you going to buy? Are you going to go out and you're going to buy you have not cleaned yourself until you've used Allahu Akbar soap. I mean, fuck, that's worse than Axe body spray, dude.
I use Axe body spray, so I guess I'm
sorry. We're going to have to end this call then.
Yeah, I don't find it to be that bad. I mean, gosh, you're saying it's one step above human soap. But, okay, then, well, I don't think the point of it was that they were actually making, actual use out of these items. Wasn't it more just like...
So they were making soap for
they were doing it
wait, stop there. So, they weren't making actual use out of these items. So they, devoted an entire industry from a nation who's at war and in a tenuous war, and resources are at a premium. And keep in mind that you can make bombs at the same way you make soap. They're going to divert from bomb production to make Jew soap. Oil of Ovey.
Industry out of it, did it? It was two isolated examples, but yeah, I'm saying I think that. I don't think they ever said they were mass producing, human soap or anything like that. But I think they said there were a couple of instances where they turned somebody's skin into lampshades or something like that, a few twisted fucks in the SS did something like that.
What happened with United States soldiers and Japanese and in the Pacific campaign? I mean, for fuck's sake, there was a story in Life magazine. I don't know, sometime in 1944 or something, where this GI sent his girlfriend a tanned Japanese skull with gold teeth all over it, and she's like, "Oh, it's the most beautiful gift I've ever got." What the fuck?
Yeah, I'm not saying that shit didn't happen on the Allies as well, but I'm just trying to question, your claims that.
What I'm saying is there's always isolated
Nazi side.
What I'm saying is that there's always the isolating example of some sort of atrocity. You can't say that one isolated example is like representative of an entire arm of the fucking state industry. That's just it doesn't make any sense. I mean, like seriously, like how do you market like, you know, Jew lampshades or Jew soap or Jew stuffed, Jew hair stuffed Volkswagen seats? How the fuck do you market that? I mean, where do you sell that? Like in Peru, where people can't read English, where people can't read German? What the hell is that? No.
Well, to say, Germans spoke, a lot of them spoke English as well, so actually they probably.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is how do you market that product? How do you market Jew soap? No, you can't.
I don't think it's marketed. Yeah, I think you're totally missing the mark there. Is that okay? Then you're taking a few isolated examples.
I'm not missing the mark because like what I'm saying is yeah, there's going to be isolated incidents of whatever kind of perversion and shit that there is, but it's not presented as an isolated. I mean, there was like an industry to make lampshades. There was an industry to make soap. Who the fuck is buying Jew lampshades and who the fuck is buying Jew soap? You're a sick, twisted fuck. And I'm telling you, there wasn't that many sick, twisted fucks buying that kind of stuff. It just doesn't. Dude, people don't do it. I mean, are you gonna what's like the equivalent of that today? Are you gonna buy like Mexican beef jerky?
I wouldn't think so. I mean, maybe if it's buy one get one.
Would you buy a Jew lampshade?
I don't think it was the same. The point is, I don't think there was ever claims that they made like markets out of selling, human products in Nazi Germany. But yeah,
there's that point, then it has to be just like an anomaly,
But what about you took that as you said, okay, well these crazy stories are a reason why I don't believe like the whole about the rest of the story about the Holocaust. But okay, we say that there's these anomalies that happen, but what about what's supposed to be actually systematically what they said was happening? Let's get to the gas. Is that they said that millions were killed by gas, and then they are with 2.3 million were killed by gas, and the other ones killed by other ways by execution and such. I mean, what proof? I always hear that the Holocaust deniers saying that there's proof that Zyklon B was never existed, but whose proof? What scientists? They never elaborate on the proof about the Zyklon B. They just say that it was never proven that Zyklon B was used. So what?
All right. So number one, what is Zyklon B?
Zyklon B, at least according to the story, was
according to the story, it's the best goddamn thing to kill Jews ever since the sword of the Philistines or some shit like that. No, what is Zyklon B? Zyklon B is a delousing agent.
But I'm guessing it's
a pesticide. It's not an asphyxiant. It's not something that cuts off the flow of oxygen. All right, so you have to go into science here, and Jesus H. Christ, we can't have science here unless it says that there's 14 genders. All right, but science says that an asphyxiant is something that stops the red blood cells from carrying oxygen. All right, that's how cyanide works. Zyklon B don't work that way. Zyklon B works like Raid. Zyklon B is a nerve agent.
Yeah, well, Zyklon B, but when that pesticide used in a large amount, like throwing you in a chamber full of, Raid or Zyklon B, wouldn't that kill you? I mean,
yeah, but I'll tell you what, it's a hell of a lot cheaper just to shoot somebody in the head with a .22. Literally, you have to. It's you have to, seriously, if you're going to have an honest discussion about this, you have to look at this resource-wise, and you have to realize what was going on at that time. Germany was in a war. They were in a war that they were losing in production. There was no way that they could keep up with the West production. They could not touch the United States at that time. So the production went unabated with unlimited financing.
Well, okay, we'll go.
It means unlimited access to raw materials. All right? Germany didn't have that. So why waste raw materials on the production of super Jew killing gas or any of the other bullshit stories that look, you really start getting into it.
Maybe they used Zyklon B. There might have been different reasons that they might have used it for.
There was a roller coaster. All right, they described some sort of mine car that had been rigged up. All right, they made Jews fight bears and eagles in cages. All right, they at some point they even designed some sort of death ray that just like incinerated people and like, you know, I mean, where the fuck is that laser at now? I mean, we could probably use that on like Al Qaeda or something. But I mean, all this stuff is all kinds of, you know, fantastic.
Wait, are these actual? Is that actual? Or I thought you were just making up that shit. Is that actual stuff that people claim happened?
I could not cite it for you right now, but you start getting into like, I'll tell you what. For Committee for the Open Discussion of the Holocaust is a really interesting website to look at. You start looking at things with a critical eye, and the critical eye is probably the worst thing you can have.
Now, okay, let's look at the the Zyklon B, though. You're saying that it would have been a lot cheaper just to put a bull in their head, but maybe they did. Yeah, well, but who's to say that the Zyklon B, I mean, how much more expensive would it have been? Maybe there was reasons, maybe they did it for ethical reasons. You know, they don't want their soldiers to be putting bullets in people's heads. This is a lot easier on the soldier to throw them behind a door, they're dead, and that's it. Rather than actually have to put the bullet in their head themselves, maybe they just saw a cleaner way to do it.
But at that point, you have to realize that they've just sent how many thousands of troops, how many millions of troops to the Eastern Front to go and die in the snow. Well, ethics isn't any of this kind of game. If these claims are being made, you have to throw ethics out the window, right? If you're saying that people are killing another people by all these various fucking inventive methods, to say the least, and then like using their remains in, you know, less than economical means, because I stand firm on the claim there is no market for Jew lampshade or Jew soap other than that small fraction of fucking weirdo that's out there.
Well, I don't think that, again, I'm not, leaving aside the couple stories about the lampshade and stuff like that, but we're talking about...
But the stories about the lampshades and the soap and all that is exactly what everything is built on. It all grows off of that. So if that is cut off at the knees, nothing else grows. But no, that shit went on for, you know, I think that was officially refuted sometime about 58 or something like that. We kind of actually... Yeah, we fudged on that, you know.
And I mean, was it true that I thought the Americans found at least one of the death camps?
Americans found no death camps.
So you're saying that the Russians found all of the German death camps? That was all the Soviets, I should say, not the Russians, but the Soviets. To be more accurate.
So where do you put 6 million bodies, dude?
Well, I said they cremated most of them, right?
All right, so what does it take to cremate something? What do? Just like get a couple matches and stick it between their toes and like in their hair and, you know, set the body on fire? That's not how it works. I mean, if you're going to cremate a body, it takes a lot of fuel, and it doesn't matter what the fuel is. It could be, you know, newspaper.
Well, I thought it takes a decent amount of kerosene. Yeah,
kerosene. You know, LP gas, regular gasoline, diesel, wood. Whatever it takes to do that. All right, what's the phrase? The human body is 70% water. And you got to cook 70% water out of this thing. How much wood is that going to take? How much petroleum? Because you're going to do this, you're not going to do it necessarily with wood, because that just takes a goddamn long time. And you got 6 million bodies to dispose of, buddy. Chop chop.
Well, you had 13 different camps, though. I mean, that's the thing, is that they, I mean...
What is it, like 500,000 per camp, you know, give or take a couple 10,000? I mean, straight up honest, I mean, where are you going to hide 500,000, the remains of 500,000? It
was done over 3 years. I mean, if you think about...
Honest, just the amount of ash you create that way will change the pH of the land. All right, so you got to do something with the ash. What are you going to do? Put it in barrels? For fuck's sake, you need that metal for bullets. You need that metal for more guns. You need that metal for more tanks. You're not going to build barrels to hide these ashes in. So you're going to spread these ashes everywhere.
I mean,
what's that going to do, dude? That's going to create gigantic dead swaths. The the foliage will not grow. There won't be no grass. It'll kill trees. It'll kill any kind of vegetation. The human body produces, what is it, like 17 pounds of ash? When it, like a 200 pound man will produce about 17 pounds of ash when it's all done. Now you got 17 pounds of ash times like 500 million. You know, let's just say 400. Let's just say 400,000 on every camp.
That's going to give you like it's going to give you well over 4 billion pounds of ash. You know, for 500 million, it's going to give. So that's about 2 million tons or so.
We should get that ash and turn it into soap and sell it to somebody. The fuck, man! It doesn't make any sense. It's all a bunch of crap, dude. I mean,
I honestly, I don't know how much the land that would take, anyways. But you know, they use barrels. I mean, here's the thing: is that whatever way that they disposed it, but the Germans did all kinds of other large projects. Let's say that they didn't do another large project for evil. I mean, they did pretty big, large projects under the Nazis, and when you have that many people mobilized under an ideology like that, some pretty crazy shit can happen.
Look, my big question is everything we know is bullshit. Trump and the Russians is bullshit. The war in Iraq was bullshit. The other war in Iraq was bullshit. The Vietnam War was bullshit. World War II was bullshit. World War I was bullshit. The Civil War was bullshit. These are all wars for bankers, right? So everything that comes out of these wars is bullshit, except for this one event. I don't believe that.
I haven't said that everything is bullshit besides World War II, but when it comes to the Nazis, I mean, here's the thing: is that I see the direct movement also from the Nazis coming to the CIA, so it makes me think that a lot of the vileness of our own government came from them, and ultimately the bankers propped up the Germans as well. I mean, look at who the Strasser brothers. You had I think you had the Warburgs, the Hitler, or the Rothschilds direct. I know they had a hand in bringing up Hitler to where he was. I mean, the German military machine wasn't just created by blood, sweat, overnight. It was more than just that. There was banker money behind that. They didn't sell 200 billion copies of Mein Kampf to fund the
all right. So all wars are bankers' wars. Have you ever heard of Krupp Steel?
Krupp Steel, you said?
Krupp, K-R-U-P-P. It's a German steel manufacturer, right? And,
wow.
Most steel manufacturers at that time put their hand into making firearms. And the Russian T-34, that they made them by the millions. They were crap, like in the world of tanks. They were kind of like welded and slapped together, a lot of cast parts, but the design was adequate for the time, and especially when you make millions of them. But the common saying was Russian welding, but Krupp steel. So the Germans were selling metal to the Russians in the middle of the war against their most hated enemy.
Well, was it actually after 1941, or was it before 41? Because, I mean, they had a non-aggression pact until really 1941, then when the Germans broke it. And also the Germans were the ones that broke that. I mean, the Russians, they're the ones that started Operation Barbarossa, just, reminding everyone. So, I mean, if that happened before 41, it's actually not a big surprise at all, because, I mean, in a way, they pretty much agreed that they would not fight each other at first, and then the Germans decided, screw that, we're going to go fight the Russians or the Soviet Union, and they launched a giant offensive on the Eastern Front.
Yeah, but that was, like you start getting into the history of that, and that was after a whole lot of bad decisions on both sides and missed opportunities. And I mean, honestly, I truly think that Hitler probably did not want an all-out war, and I think he tried to avert it at one point. And I'll have to refer to the two new movies that are out, like Dunkirk, and then there's what is it, The Finest Hour or some bullshit that's out about saving all the English troops in Dunkirk. I mean, you look at the history of that. I mean, just one word of go All he would have had to say was "go," and they would have like destroyed England. That would have been it. There would have been nothing for them. England would have been defended by a whole bunch of like 56-year-old guys with single shot shotguns.
So that's, you know, what's weird about it's weird about Britain nowadays. That nowadays they got that. I mean, I guess you could say in a way, in the Western world in general, but you know, nowadays the only people that can even really defend their country from a total invasion, but particularly Britain comes to mind. Because, you know, small country. The only people that can even protect their country from an invasion, most of those people are like the same. They're the ideology of they're on the wrong side, I guess you could say. Like, I would say they're kind of going on leaning on the fascist side. The rest of that country, just a bunch of, they're pretty weak. You know, I guess, yeah, I was like thinking, you know, who's going to defend Britain if they were actually invaded by Russia, you know, and stuff like that.
The kids who watch SpongeBob, the kids who watch the Teletubbies.
I mean, think about these, the use.
Think about what I'm saying here real quick. You know what Chinese kids watch on TV?
I don't know, probably some math or some shit like that. It's probably some science show. I don't know, probably martial arts training, something.
Like their cartoons are, you know, very violent robots, you know, like anime robots or whatever. But the most popular show for children in China right now is animals eating other animals. There's like a zoo channel where they have a lion or fucking a tiger.
It's like that Family Guy skit was damn nature scary.
yeah, but it's not necessarily scary. It's what you watch every day. And I'll tell you what, you put two kids, one kid, you know, raised on watching SpongeBob or, you know, whatever faggy cartoon of the week is on, and a kid who watches, you know, like death and destruction like that, there's going to be a marked difference in aggression. And, you know, if you got to like fight somebody, aggression's where it's at, right?
Oh, that's what I'm saying. No doubt that like the Eastern world would absolutely crush West Europe in a war. Like, you know, if like Russia was ever invade or China was to ever like invade or something like that, Western Europe would just get absolutely creamed. I mean, you look at the countries, you know, look at, really France had about their last hope for any kind of like, you know, strong society in the 2017 election. You know, that was a difference that I see between Trump and like Le Pen, is that Trump they let win because he was willing to play ball. I don't think Le Pen was willing to play ball, so they let Macron and his Macron and his mom, wife, as his as president.
There's quite a difference right there. There's something up with that, you know, like almost a handler or something, you know.
It's creepy, kind of. I mean, apparently Macron met her when she was like 40 and he was like 15 or something like that. It wasn't like they were 23 and 16. Or
you know what? I'm just waiting for him to put out the tweet #MeToo.
He's gonna finally snitch on Lady Macron or whatever. Which I find funny about Lady Macron. Macron is that remember when Trump went over there? Is that the only thing he was thinking about was like, damn, I want to smash. He was like, you're in such good shape, right in front of Melania. But that really shows that the reality TV show that Western politics has turned into, where I mean, you got they seem like reality TV stars. These presidents of the Western, not just America's president, but like, you know, you got France's, you know, with Macron. I don't even know what the fuck that thing in Britain's ruling. Theresa May looks like it looks like an eel, to be honest.
I find Jeremy Corbyn to be very interesting.
It's kind of like Jeremy Corbyn is like I guess you could say he's taking he didn't take the full red pill maybe, but he definitely got a little bit of his coffee or something like that. He got a little bit. He got like the
secondhand smoke, so to speak.
Huh?
Secondhand smoke, so to speak.
Yeah, he got at least some secondhand smoke on the red Kush, if you know what I'm saying, the red pill Kush. He got some of that. I mean, Jeremy Corbyn, like every night, his Labor Party, at sometimes just disgusts me. Some of the stuff that they do, but at the other times, he have Jeremy Corbyn has shown himself to be kind of like leaning away from what most of the Western establishment wants, when it comes to kind of like the banking. He doesn't really want to be a part of the World Bank, IMF. He seems to be kind of wanting to lean towards BRICS and that type of thing. But then again, the Labour Party, it's suspended that Ken Livingstone guy for saying the truth about the Nazis and the Zionists, that Hitler and the Zionists worked together. He got suspended from the Labour Party for doing so. And then another guys who got suspended for something similar, for calling out Palestine, or not calling about Israel's treatment of Palestine, or Israel's.
Well, all right, so you know who Nigel Farage is, right?
Yeah, the guy, UKIP guy. He's kind of irrelevant now, but yeah, I know he's kind of a big deal about years ago.
On his radio show about 3 weeks ago, he went on about the Jewish and Israeli influence in the United States, and he actually used the J word, and then reverted to the, to Israeli. But he went on about that. He said they have far too much power in the United States. That American foreign policy is basically dictated by them.
And Nigel, he's kind of an interesting candidate as well. I feel like for what Corbyn lacks in, like, I don't know, I guess you could say, it's kind of his political correctness and kind of wanting to lean into like the social justice warrior. He still tries to appease the people, the social justice warriors and stuff, and support the Labour Party. I feel like Farage could counteract that. Honestly, I feel like, Corbyn and Farage would make like a pretty good team, maybe, to like fix Britain up. I know there's going to be some people that would be pissed at me for saying that, but they're like, oh, how could he say that? How could he put this together? But it's like I feel like Farage has got like he doesn't care about political correctness and stuff like that. He's willing to say stuff how it is, but at the same time with economics, I feel like Farage is just kind of wants to still play ball with he's still too much of a. In some ways, I see Farage kind of like he's almost got a little bit of like the mainstream Tory in him in a way. Like over there they got the Tories, they're kind of like the Republicans. So in a way, he's still got a little bit too much mainstream in him, but he's almost wanting, now I feel like he's got away from that. That he's no longer competing for a political spot. Like now that he knows that he's not in the spotlight because Farage is irrelevant now. UKIP fell apart. If you follow British politics at all, UKIP became like the equivalent of like the Constitution Party in the United States, when at one point they were competing to become the next big thing. They were going to be right up there with the Tories and the Labour Party. Now Corbyn, he's more like he's trying to change a broken party from within. The Labour Party's screwed up to begin with, but the Labour Party has some hope with Corbyn. This is what has kept some people in the party. With Miliband, when they went down that route, Miliband, Blair, and the Blairites, they're still in the party. They are, they're the people that are keeping the Labour Party behind and keeping the Labour Party, kind of just like, I would say, almost like the Democrat light of Britain. It's kind of like how the Tories are like the Republicans of Britain, and then UKIP, I guess, would more like represent kind of like a weird mixture between like the Libertarians and like the Constitution Party or something like that in the United States. And then you have like Labour Party, you have like the people that are more like the Blair or Corbyn. I feel like he's more like a Green Party politician. He's like a Green Party light. Corbyn's not that radical. I like more the people like Galloway, who's always been very willing to speak his mind. He's never minced words. When it came to Israel, he got beat up over it. Corbyn, on the other hand, I feel like he's kind of scared, and I know because he wants to, put his image out to be good for 2019, 2020. He wants to keep his party's image. He doesn't want to. He doesn't want his party to have a bad image going into 2020. Into the election. And I see, Michael, you're back on the back with us, right? I think I said. Oh, okay, actually, I saw that. Yeah. By the way, looks like Michael has departed for the night. So I thank Michael for being on the air with us tonight here on Christmas Eve. Here we are, December 24th, 2017. With your host Chris J. Just going all around on politics. And by the way, for people that are just tuning in right now, we just had a pretty interesting conversation on the Holocaust. This is the thing about Voice Bound Radio is that we're willing to touch very touchy subjects. Michael and I went on for a little bit about that. We went back and forth for about half hour on that, and we had a pretty good show so far. But he just dropped off. So as always, when me and him have I guess you could say our contrasting political beliefs always make a pretty good show. When it comes to everybody's listening, it's a Christmas Eve. I know the people that I wonder if anyone out there still listens from my old days. When I was still had like a little bit of a base around high school, into my high school bogey. When I was still a teenager, I had I kind of got a little bit of a base, I guess you could say, maybe with some of my friends and stuff. It's kind of like that was kind of like the original crew before I had all the people here on UCY.TV and moved to a bigger station. I wonder if anybody still is from that from those days. And I give a shout out to them if they are. I was thinking, tomorrow marks 4 years since one of my best shows. Like, those out of all the shows I've ever done, the feeling that I had after my 5th show ever doing on the radio. I think I played it one time here on UCY Radio so people could hear it when I went off on Israel for about 2-3 hours. At 15, it was a really great show that I did. That really just, I had 2 good shows back to back because and also before that, I've interviewed the Libertarian candidate for governor, Adrian Wiley, who, he eventually lost in 2014. He was a Libertarian candidate. I still have him on Facebook. And I remember interviewing Lucas Overby a couple months later, some of the big interviews I've done, but definitely my politics have kind of shifted a little bit more. I guess some people would say to the fringe since then, ever since I adopted the ideas of more of nationalism. I've been reading, I read, Green Book back in September. I've been kind of studying on bossism, Arab socialism, more. I've done a show on that before. I know I did one back in February 2016 on bossism. And I think I did another one not too long ago. I still think bossism is the key to the Middle East. The principles taught by Michael Aflaq, Zaki al-Arsuzi, Muammar Gaddafi, Gamal Nasser, Hafez al-Assad. I was actually thinking, of getting a tattoo maybe I didn't want to get a tattoo of Gaddafi or Bashar al-Assad because I feel like they'd be too recognizable. I don't want to get in too much trouble with the tattoos I have, but I want something meaningful. And for probably most of the stuff that's going to be meaningful to me is going to be something that's political. So I need maybe Hafez al-Assad, Hafez al-Assad, by the way, is the father of the current Syrian president. And it's like not many people would recognize that. I think not too many people would recognize. Well, I'm not sure about that because, Gaddafi's kind of recognizable. I don't know if people would still recognize Gaddafi. I feel like it's been a few years, so maybe people wouldn't recognize Gaddafi anymore. Well, I fear that we're going to be in war with Syria here in a year or, in a couple of years, we'll be at war with them. So, I don't want to have the tattoo of like the enemy president on my arm. It's just a great way to get myself in a whole lot of trouble with, your average Joe Sixpack. They just follows what's told to them on the news, what's told them on the tube. I'm kind of thought about different ideas for that for you. The cat that was getting now. I thought by now I would definitely have like first hat. I see everyone's all inked up too, so I guess it's what kind of like getting my I guess I get my inspiration to get tattooed to see everybody doing. It seems like it's a very common trend. I wanted to get tattooed since I was 16, but and really before that. But I never could think of something that I really want to do. Plus, I have to find a good artist that'd be willing to tattoo something political like that. Because I don't know how I'm going to explain. Oh yeah, he was the Syrian president, or this guy used to be the president of Libya, and then like, wait a minute, is this Muammar Gaddafi that we're doing? It's like if I could get Gaddafi tattooed to me, I feel like I'm gonna get myself in a lot of trouble. The closest, at least like a watch I actually had a Gaddafi watch at one point. Watch it like something you could take off, but a tattoo you can never take off. And then I actually had that Gaddafi watch stolen from me. I had my Gaddafi watch and my Hugo Chavez shirt because it was in a bag that got stolen. Was the beach one day. They got both stolen on the same day. So that was a big time bummer. Back in July. I had my Hugo Chavez shirt was in there, and a Muammar Gaddafi watch, which I paid like $50 for. I paid only about $16 for the shirt. The watch I wore every now and then, every time, like a lot of times when I would go outside, go and hang out somewhere, I would wear that. And now I've got a new watch since then. It's not political. It was a really cool watch. I got the idea. It's kind of like how I contrast. I had a watch for my different political beliefs back when I was, I guess you could still say a commie. Like kind of your typical Marxist Leninist. I still have it actually. I still own it, and I guess in a way it's a little bit. To me, it doesn't necessarily mark being like a Marxist Leninist by having the watch, but it says in 1945, 1990. It's the 45th anniversary of the Soviet Union winning World War II watch. So it was one of the last things that was made. It was like the Soviet watch actually made in the Soviet Union. It's got a hammered sickle on the watch, and marking the 45th anniversary of the Soviet Union's triumph over Nazi Germany. I have a kind of weird beliefs on World War II. In a way, it's like I see that I feel bad for the 27 million people that perished in the Russian on the Russian side during World War II. I mean, this is 16 million civilians. I think it was 16 million soldiers and 9 million civilians died, and 11 million civilians, 9 million civilians died in World War II. So this is the most amount of. This is some of the biggest losses that any side's ever taken in a war. They took. We only took about 500,000 losses. They took like 27 million. The Soviet Union was the reason why pretty much that the Nazis lost in the war. Now, some people would argue that those people, the 27 million that lost on the Soviet side died in vain because, what was brought afterwards is that, they had more of the same crap. Stalin stayed in power. You had later on Brezhnev would come to power, and Brezhnev was no friend of freedom, really. Brezhnev was a brutal tyrant at times. So I'm just going to check out. I want to check out that number if I have that right. 27 million. I think it was 27 million. If that's the right number. And well, it says here over 16 million dead on the Allied side of Wikipedia, though. Civilian dead over 45 million, and I know there was at least at least 50 million people that died in World War II, which was about 3% of the world population then. Much probably more than that, actually, when you count disease and other factors, people starving and stuff like that. It says, according to Russian government figures, USSR losses within post-war borders now stand at 26.6 million, including 8.5 million due to war-related famine and disease. August 2009, the Polish Institute of National Remembrance researchers estimated Poland's deaths estimated Poland's dead at 5.6 to 5.8 million. Polish Institute of National Remembrance researchers estimated Poland's dead to be 5.6 to 5.8 million. Historian Rüdiger Obermans of the Military Research Office, Germany, published a study in 2000 that the German military men dead and missing at 5.3 million, including 900,000 men conscripted from outside of Germany's 1937 borders in Austria and East Central Europe. And the PRC, People's Republic of China, puts its war dead at 20 million, while the Japanese government puts its casualties due to the war at 3.1 million. So, over 20 million people, that's insane. And that's, when it comes to I have a lot of friends over in Russia. It's like I have to, it's like I feel like I have to kind of make sure that I'm honor that big event for Russian history. Russians make a big deal. They have the Victory Day parade on May 9th every year, which I hope I could attend one of the Victory Day parades.
point of no return, and nobody can stop it. Malcolm Little when he knelt before Elijah Muhammad, the comet that killed the dinosaurs, changing the earth. They love to criticize, they always say I changed for the worse. Like prescription pills when you misusing them, nigga. The Templar Knights when they took Jerusalem, nigga, and figured out what was buried under Solomon's temple. Al-Aqsa, the name is not coincidental. I know too much, the government is trying to murder me. No coming back like cutting your wrists open vertically. How could the serpent be purposely put in charge of the country? Genetic engineered sickness spread amongst me. My people are so hungry that they attack without reason, like a fucking dog ripping off the hand that feeds them. Immortal technique is treason to the Patriot Act. So come and get me, motherfucker, cause I'm not coming back. This is the point from which I can never return, and if I back down now...
My name is S.